Have you ever wanted to just catch them all? Are you tired of chopping trees, mining rocks, and farming everything yourself? Do you want to play a game where you can save innocent creatures or straight up shoot them in the face? Well, this is exactly what we're doing in today's video. Palworld 1.0, I choose you. Our journey begins here, on a faraway island, full of powerful creatures. And just like every other survival story, I started with absolutely nothing to my name. Just a simple clue. The tree holds the truth. So, without wasting any time, I got to work immediately. My first objective was to activate the Great Eagle statue. Of course, oh my god, it's been so long. Dude, I do not remember how to play this game at all. And look around for anything useful. Got bread and coin, and I think that's a sphere. Press Q to throw what? Oh. Alright, well. The mega sphere is gone. Whatever. Fast travel. Nice. Acquired one technology. I am so good already. Then, I had a little conversation with one of the survivors on this island. Hello. Even though it didn't look like it, apparently, this place can be very dangerous. This island is hell on earth. Is it? It looks pretty nice. To help me out, they installed a survival guide on the device that I found and told me to check out a small settlement nearby. Alright, so there's more people here. Okay, and they just like sit here all day, do nothing? But before we do that, I needed to make some tools to help me start my progression. So, I grabbed a couple of branches to make a workbench. Let's get to work. Where did I grab that hammer from? Punched a rock to get some stones. Wait, does this work? It does. Alright. Do not ask me how. It just does. And use the technology point to learn the Pal Sphere recipe. Oh my god, there's a sheep. Lambo. Bet. What's up, buddy? Oh, the other guy's coming. I was just talking to him. My bad. Hello. With that, I was able to make the core items. Dude, I need to get some pals to work for me already. What the hell? I have to sit here and press F every time? And it was time to catch my first pal. Let's see. Where was the cat? I want the cat. There she goes. Come here. Hey. Come back. Oh my god, the cat's so quick. Come here. Let's go. Yes. Oh my god. Stop. Let me get you weak. And then I capture you. Nice. Now I press E to summon. Hey, what's going on? And given that I'm gonna need a lot of help, I took a moment to show them the ways of life. Let me show you. So, I'm gonna need you to get me a lot of wood, alright? This is how you cut a tree. Take notes. Right, left, right, left, right. Watch the form. Right, left, right. There you go. There you go. You're learning? Sometimes I'm gonna have to send you to kill somebody. And when I do that, you need to get the job done, alright? Just like with the trees, you go left, right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Watch me do it. You go left, right, left, right, left. Now you finish the job. Oh my god, what the hell? Whoa, mercy hit? What is a mercy hit? Oh, did they make it where like they don't die so you can capture them? I'm sorry, buddy. I have to do... Oh no. I'm sorry, buddy. I have to do it. See ya. Let's get this guy too. I feel so bad, but it's my job. Survival situation. Oh no, and they rolled down the hill. Oh my god, this is terrible. Why are you smiling? So evil. Hey, what's up, guys? Nothing to see here. Then I used my technology points to learn more recipes. So the next important thing I think is either a bed or a pal bed. And I just noticed I have 11 technology points. So I can probably get everything. I don't know why I'm like being really careful here. And Operation Build-A-Base was officially underway. What are you doing, buddy? Buddy? There's no time for a cat fight right now. I'm gonna have to do it myself. Unbelievable. What did I sign up for? I started out by making a workbench, and most importantly, a pal box. Yeah, I'll do it myself. Yeah, you almost got him. I'm doing great. With this thing, you can establish the parameter of your base and deploy pals to work within it. Hey, buddy. How am I gonna get rid of this huge pal right here? I spent the whole night making a house. I like the building system in this game. It's pretty easy. Very responsive. Oh my god, I'm dying because it's cold. A campfire to keep me warm. Why am I hammering the campfire? And a wooden chest to store my items. Just put all the normal stuff here. After that, I went to get rid of whatever was keeping us in combat. Go get him. He's like, come on, do it, hit me. You won't. Hit me if you dare. Yo, relax. It's a oh my... Okay, you suck, buddy. This guy is literally stuck in the mountain, and look at you. Let's do it now. There you go. Now we win. Good job, proud of you. Use my stat points to boost my health and carry limit. I go health and weight for now. And made some spheres to continue capturing more pals. I got it. You keep mining. Or come help me, I guess. Thank you. While I'm doing that, let me explain to you two important fundamentals in this world. First, everything you do on this island gives you XP. However, the most important thing to focus on is the bonus you get from capturing the first 5 of each pal. Alright, 5 out of 5. Beautiful, love it. Second, as you all might know, each pal has a different element and randomly generated passives. Also, they tend to have different work suitabilities whenever you put them in your base. For example, this cat is a neutral type that specializes in mining and handiwork, and whenever I captured it, it rolled these 2 passives. Anyways, during all that, I ended up running out of spheres and had to quickly make some. There you go, good shot. Oh my god, he's oh no, he doesn't have the mercy hit! Wow, and he goes straight to mining. Respect that. Then, I continued discovering new mechanics. Oh wow, he has Fluffy Shield. What does that do? Alright, let me activate Fluffy Shield. What is this? Wait, what is happening? Huh? Oh, is this my shield? Like I'm blocking? No, that's just mean, bro. Captured my first water pal. Beautiful, alright, a new guy. And unlocked plenty more recipes. Wooden tavern. Okay. Set up a bar and enjoy life with your pals. They drink? With that, I decided to go back home and noticed that I had a set of base missions completed, which meant I can now upgrade my pal box and deploy an extra pal to help me around. Okay, so I need to pay attention to these quests. Got it. Only needed an hour to start paying attention. This seemed like a very useful thing to focus on, so I spent the night doing exactly that. Oh, that's super easy. Build feed box and build straw pal bed. Can do that. I managed to make beds for everybody. Alright, hopefully they know that there's a bed for them. Probably not though. A feed box for the pals. Now I can have 4. Yo, I'm leveling up quickly now. I get it. Can put 1 chicken here. Let me help you guys. Why is the chicken not doing anything? Alright. Literally not doing anything. And while I was working on more upgrades, I noticed that I stopped paying attention to my quest log. How to stay alive. Open the options menu with escape and check the survival guide. Alright. Okay, cool. Pick up fallen branches or... Oh my god. Why are those quests so delayed? Pick up fallen branches or hit trees. I've done that, sure. Sadly, it wasn't smart enough to keep up with my progression, so I had to redo and follow along every quest to catch up. Pick up fallen stones. Once you have the necessary materials, craft a stone axe. What is happening? Why am I so behind? Well, I do have those things. Alright, let's do it. This is really important so I can know what my next quest is. Meanwhile, I finished making the Pal Gear workbench, built some berry plantations. There you go. Just 2 for now. And made myself cloth armor. 15 defense, 70 health. Let's do it. That's very important. Nice. Alright. Looking good. Then, I picked up a Paldium fragment, and somehow, it caught me up to my current objective, which was to make a common shield and a parachute. Finally, I'm progressing the game. Wait, one of the cats is upset. Why? Who pissed him off? It's always a cat, isn't it? After that, I continued working around. You guys are doing great. There you go. Do you guys think this is mean? Actually, it's not mean, right? Because I'm working with them. Like, we're a family here. It would be mean if I'm just like sleeping and they're doing all the work. But, you know, I'm hard at work as well. Discovered a new trick. Oh no, oh no. You guys are not eating the food. Brother. Alright, let's sort this. Wait, what? Wait, when you sort, your food gets refreshed. Huh? Is that intended? Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. Made myself a bow and arrows. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Alright, I'm ready. And it was finally time to explore. Alright, boys. Now, I am leaving. Where? I don't know. Am I ever gonna come back? I don't know. Will I ever see you again? Perhaps. Just keep working hard, alright? Wait! The cats are drowning! Oh no, cats hate water too. Should I be mean and just block them? You're not going anywhere. Yes, stickish. Okay. Alright. I guess they have superpowers or something. I started off by heading down the hill and capturing 2 ground creatures. Oh, yo, what is that? Huh? Okay, in my defense, I played games where like bows have a very, very, very insane... What the hell? Yo, he's very strong. Let's go. Come on, do it. See what happens. Dodge. Oh, okay. Can you hit him? Thank you. I like how you can push them after they die. Then, I activated a fast travel point. Alright, fast travel, lovely. Looted a common egg. Build an egg incubator. Alright. And got myself some water pals. Watch this, 360. Easy money. Easy money. I'm unlocking my full potential right now. Also, I talked to these nice people over here, and I was able to pick up a side quest. Oh, you're an adventurer. Perfect timing. Could you deliver this special dish to the settlement nearby for me? Submission. What is it? Farmer special dish. It gives off an absolutely mouth-watering aroma. Oh my god, sounds so good. Maybe I'll eat it. And this glowing green effigy. After that, I continued hunting everything I saw. I just want one of these, because maybe they can like plant or something. There you go. Is it? Oh my god, it's 6-7%. Oh, can't be a coincidence. Found my first boss tower. We have a travel point, we have a boss, I think, and we have a dungeon. So this is a very, very good progression right here. Now, do I go home and make more spheres, then continue to the village? I feel like that sounds like a great idea. So let's do that, shall we? And fast traveled back home to regroup. Alright boys, I brought a lot of friends. This time, it was a quick one. I mainly wanted to deploy a planting pal to automate the food process. This is very good though, so now we have a planting pal, a watering pal, a gathering pal. Also, I made 40 spheres to avoid constantly running out. Although, I did spend some time looking through party synergies to figure out the best team to bring for now. Who do I bring with me? Because whoever I bring with me levels up, right? You see, in addition to the things I explained earlier, some pals can have very useful buffs. Things like increasing melee weapon damage, carry capacity, and even healing you when you get low. Anyways, I decided to go with these 5. Okay, so increased carry weight, prevents fall damage, login efficiency, melee weapon damage, and 20% health whenever I fall below 30%. There it is, that's the squad for now. And started heading towards the village, which wasn't really that far away, but there were definitely a lot of distractions. Is that just a reflection in the water, or like you can fish there? Can you fish in this game? I don't remember. However, I made sure to focus on the job to grind XP. I'm not even gonna look back. It's gonna succeed 100%. Aura. Oh. Okay, alright. Let's relax, alright? Let's not dodge. I'm struggling to make spheres here. And avoid anything that would waste my time. What? I'm not going there. Ain't no way. I just want to take a peek. What is happening there? The hell is this? Okay, these two dinosaurs are taking over this place. This is their spot. They're the alpha here. Should probably... Oh my god, is that a chest? Oh no, that's an egg. No, don't get distracted. Get to the village, please. Get to the village. Let me help him. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that water damage. One more. Oh, wait. Okay. That was actually perfect. What the hell? This llama was watching everything. He's like, nope. Keep me out of it. I did not see anything. Eventually, I got enough pals to reach level 10 and glided down to the small settlement. Hello, Mr. Chief, sir. Oh, you're not from around these parts, are you? Here, I was able to learn more about my main objective, which we'd already established had something to do with that giant tree. A legend says that should you reach the World Tree, you will find the truth behind all there is to know about these islands. Another claims that a source of limitless power lies within. Sadly though, the old man didn't have all the answers, but he pointed me in the direction of somebody who might. Long story short, I needed to seek out the first boss, the daughter of the Rain Syndicate, Zoe. But if you insist on paying it a visit, you do well to prepare for the worst, alright? But first, he wanted me to go back to the base and make a Fog Spark harness. What's that? Well, I'm glad you asked. You can use the Pal Gear workbench to make harnesses for certain pals, to access their active abilities. It's a rather nifty item that allows you to carry the Fog Spark around. Ooh, my bad, it's my stomach. I haven't eaten all day. Anyways, much like a living flamethrower. Yeah, I'm familiar. But more on that later. I continued picking up side quests, saved this cat from getting bullied. Why is that Tiefin terrorizing the cat? Hey! Hey! Have mercy! I need to save this cat. And delivered the farmer's dish to this reliable officer. What's this? Is that for me? It smells absolutely wonderful. Thanks. I'll savor every bite. Okay. You're welcome. Then, instead of going home empty-handed, I decided to go back to the wilderness and use every single sphere that I had. While I was doing that, I managed to find one of the mini-bosses. What on earth is that? Oh, it's a boss, level 11 boss. Do I attempt it? I don't have the right equipment, I feel like. Yeah. Another fast travel point. Yeah, I remember this game being really grindy when it comes to actual XP. And made a big but accidental mistake. Ooh, cows. They might run away. I need to hit them. What? Oh, it's his cows. Oh no. Oh no. No, I'm so sorry. No. Please, guys, please. I messed up, no. Please don't kill me, please, I'm innocent. He hit me first, I swear. I hit the cow, I did not hit the human. I'm wanted and I have 1 star. Dude, is this GTA? What is this game? Oh, I'm safe. Wait, what? he's still chasing me, bro. Relax, it's just a cow, man. Let's talk about it, please. Let's talk about it. That was my cue to go home. So, I teleported back to the base, where I spent the next 40 minutes working on a lot of things. What a day it has been. We have a lot to do. Here's what I did. First, I made sure to focus on upgrading the base by building a stone crusher, a login site, and a stone pit. Dude, do you get raided in this game? I don't remember. Do I need fences and stuff? Then, I built a furnace to start processing the ore into ingots. Alright, ingots. I can make... Ooh, I can make a lot. Let's do that, all of them. I need fire. And there he goes. Oh my god, it's so good. Why is this game so good? A statue of power. Okay, what's the deal with this thing? Max health, attack, defense, work speed. Oh wow. And a hot spring to help the pals relax after a long day of work. Actually, you guys build this, bro. Let me go make a bed. Also, a monitoring stand to assign pals to do certain things. So like I stand on this and then just command them. Like the boss I am. Next, I was able to craft the Foxpark harness. Made myself a new armor piece. Let's make this. I guess I'll make this. Unbelievable. Things I do everything. If they only know how hard I work. We're gonna go from 15 defense, 70 health, into 35 defense, 140 health. Oh, baby. And most importantly, a metal pickaxe. Alright, beautiful. Whip that, discard that. Can I help you guys? Hello? With all of that work done, I added a Foxpark to the party. I mean, that's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. And you can dodge with him. Okay, I don't want to use all of it. Oh my god, who the hell is... Can you guys not walk through my house? This is unbelievable. It's private property. Get out of here. And it was time to go back to the old man. Needless to say, he was impressed with my pal taming capabilities and told me to prepare before I venture into the tower. May fortune follow you. Thanks, bro. Oh yeah, enter the tower. Alright. So, I decided to test out my damage against the Chillet mini-boss. Can you turn around, buddy? Oh yeah, that did no damage whatsoever. Alright, let's go. Oh my god, it did so much damage! The results were very good, to be honest. Oh, yo, look at this! This is so OP! Oh, no, I'm gonna kill it! Hold on. 2. Bam! Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Oh, they give the ancient technology. Wait, that was easy though. Do you think the other boss would be easy as well? Then, I got extremely fortunate and found a few cool things. Okay, I'm losing what? Wait, what? What is that? Do I hit it? What the hell? It's a rare one. Ooh, it has so much health though. First was this huge rare pal that rolled the lucky passive and dropped a legendary handbook. A rare book written about the secrets of handiwork, allowing a pal to read it to permanently increases their handiwork affinity. Oh. And second, I managed to find a skill fruit tree and a huge verdant egg. That's a big egg. Can I even carry that? Hello? Huge egg. Pretty cool stuff, but we had a boss to kill. Therefore, the prep needed to continue. Okay, crossbow, 280 damage. My bow does 60, so this should be very, very, very good. Help me out here, brother. So, I started out by making a crossbow and tested out on one of the lambs. 300, whoa. 500. Then, I upgraded my party tremendously by adding the Chillet with a Musclehead passive. Musclehead, attack 30%! Whoa, alright, you are, yeah, you are joining the group. And the rare pal I caught earlier. Oh yeah, I got the lucky one. What is lucky? Whoa! With that, the work was officially over, and it was finally time to conquer my first true challenge. This might be a bad idea, actually. Wait, if I die, would I drop all my items? Should have probably kept all my items at the base. Let's go. Oh, it's that guy. I remember. It's like a buffed Pikachu. Damn. Yeah. Oh, okay. Electricity. 12,000 HP. Electricity. Dragon, I choose you. Wait. Wait, is he frozen? Huh? What? Ooh, that's a lot of damn. It's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Electricity is weak against what? Ground? Let's not do that. Hitting headshots. 1, 2, 3. Easy money. Is that all you got? Is that all you got, buddy? Let me change. Let me use a ground. There you go. That's his weakness. He's vulnerable against ground, and he doesn't do a lot of damage against ground as well. GG, it's over. And I was worried. You guys watching the headshots? Okay, I missed. You guys watching the headshots, though? You guys watching the... Oh. You guys watching how I beat it first try? I might have overestimated this fight a little. Did you guys watch that? Wait, hold up. Key Sphere of Envy, a relic of an ancient civil... Okay. Well, that was easy. Maybe I over-leveled. You know what? It doesn't matter. I'll take the win. And what better way to celebrate than to relax a little bit and do some fishing. What is that? Hold. Alright, hold in. Okay, this is easy. Very simple, very simple. What the f? And this is, ladies and gentlemen, where we're gonna end our journey for today. During the time of making this video, I poured so many hours into this game. I found myself excited to log in to work on upgrading my base, defeating the bosses, and just collecting every single thing. It's surprising because I've never played any of the you-know-what by the you-know-who, if you catch my drift. But after trying this, maybe I should. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. These videos take a lot of effort to make, and it would make me extremely happy. Peace.